Okay, you're live.
Oh, okay.
Hello.
Hello.
Happy Wednesday. What a Wednesday. So we are Akissi Hill and
Tosha Jeffries
with Perry and Pulaski County CASA, and we are so excited to be hosting this live today. You know, with everything going on, the virtual world has been our new norm, and so this is
expanding.
Absolutely. And so this is a great way to stay in contact. So we thank you all for joining with us, as well as those of you who will be watching later on today. Feel free to share your thoughts, your comments, ask your questions. We'll definitely be looking on the page to respond. So we are talking today about connecting with teens.
Yes.
Which, if you've either been a teen before, which is something
which you have, I'm sure.
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
or have a teen at home.
Yes, yes. Or even several teens now.
Yes.
And especially, you know, advocating for your teen. And so connecting with teenagers is very crucial.
It is.
When we think about connecting with teens, we think about the norm from an adult's point of view, such as their grades,
yes,
how they're doing in school,
yes,
how
their friends.
Oh, their friends, absolutely.
And maybe not even connecting. Maybe it's we're automatically thinking of the negative standpoint.
Oh, yeah.
So they're not going to be open to me. I'm older, so they're going to think that I was never a teen before. And so with that, we automatically begin to be on the defensive side. And then it kind of just shuts the door already when you're trying to connect with that teen. But we definitely want to try to connect with teens in a very different way. Now, since everything is going on, especially virtually now, during this whole pandemic, social media is a great way to connect with teenagers. Identifying things on their level, you know, like what they like to do, what are their hobbies. Now I think they're like playing games, video games.
Yes, and you know what, streaming.
Yes.
So even if you're not a gaming guru, now is a great time to learn how to play that game that they love, because it brings you into their world.
It does.
So when you're communicating with them, you can start out with saying, "Oh, so what level are you on right now? You know, have you met that mission yet that you were working on?" And when you're speaking their language, you then open up their eyes to think that you're cool, you know, you're relatable, and of course, when you talk about something that they like, then you have their interest, and you're beginning to develop a level of trust.
Absolutely.
Which is very important.
Very
You know,
important.
even as adults, we are not too open to talk to people we don't trust. You know, we have those boundaries up, and so for us to come into their world, it's allowing us the chance to get to know them.
Absolutely.
Them to get to know us, and then after we, you know, bypass that icebreaker stage, we're then entering the personal level.
Yeah.
So, you know, things have changed dramatically for them. For us, it's been a little easier to navigate through, but for them who are used to, you know, seeing their friends every day at school, you know, and then being quarantined, that changed a lot. So, again, having that person to connect to, and if you're advocating for them, who better than you to connect with them on that level?
Absolutely. And even going back to the trust, when you're advocating for a teenager, you still have to, you know, at least try to keep in mind, like, some of these teenagers have been through so much trauma before the age of 10. And so, you know, by the time they're a teenager, they've been through more trauma than us as an adult. And so we still have to be able to connect and identify with those teenagers. Not necessarily tell them a personal story, but it could be something that you can find a way to try to connect with that teenager, whether it is a story or somebody you had advocated with before. And once again, if you have teenagers, I'm sure it's a lot of stories that you can find ways to connect with them as well. I think teenagers get a bad rep of being just this difficult being because they're trying to find themselves, and so they're actually like an alien on earth almost because it's so hard to connect and identify with them. But I don't think that that's necessarily true. I just think that their walls are just a little bit harder to break. That's all.
And you know, another way to connect with them, if you're an avid reader like me, personally, a book that I highly recommend is The Teenage Brain, because it reminds you of the way that they think, you know, the way that they communicate. You know, sometimes you might think, why in the world would they say something like that? Well, you have to remember they're a teenager, so they're still learning. And while it's a learning experience for them, it's also a learning experience for us.
Absolutely.
And so we mentioned getting into their world and connecting with them. Zoom is an awesome way. You know, talking on the phone is great, but allowing them to see you and even showcase some of your personality reminds them of the reality and actually feeling comfortable with that connection. And then with the pandemic, you know, great questions to ask are, what has been your greatest challenge?
Yeah.
What has been something that you have totally enjoyed doing that you didn't think you would enjoy doing before?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and then even sharing some of those things that you've enjoyed doing or that you've learned that they can
or give them ideas that they could do, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
I know, you know, a lot of teens, they have so many talents, so many gifts.
That they haven't even tapped into yet. Yeah.
One of those is, which is one of my weaknesses, drawing and painting. But it doesn't mean that we can't do it. You know, it's still fun. So getting online with them via Zoom and, you know, maybe drawing something, free art, and showcasing your weaknesses as well, and being open to sharing, you know, that you're not so great at this, but you're still trying it. Yeah. You're not so great at this, but you're open to sharing with them. They're not the only ones that don't have it all together yet.
Absolutely.
So that shows them, okay, you know what, she gets it. She's comfortable with admitting that she's not perfect, because sometimes teens are intimidated by us.
They are.
You know, they feel like we have it all together and we can't relate to any of the struggles or the challenges or the changes that they have.
Yeah.
They go through.
Yeah, yeah, because it's definitely a change right now with the whole pandemic thing, and with them not being able to connect with their friends. I mean, their Zoom is like FaceTime.
Yeah.
So even if you are advocating for a teen, kind of text. I know that, you know, if you're a little bit older, you don't text as much, but just kind of shoot a text. Hey, how's it going? Like, you know, you still want to be able to connect with them. It doesn't have to be anything big, but that's kind of like a small thing that you can do in order to connect with them. Just ask them, hey, how's your day? Yes. Or, you know, what did you do today? What's something fun that you did today? Even with the drawing, I mean, y'all could do portraits of each other. You know, just what's something that your friends did, you know, like, so I've noticed that sometimes with teenagers, they just kind of sit and hold the phone too, you know, so you definitely want to keep them entertained and keep them involved in the conversation. You don't want to make it seem like you're, you know, a mom all the time. You know, kind of connect with them on a friend level as well.
And speaking of which, that it can be a bit awkward when you're just staring at the phone, but keep in mind, teenagers have that nonchalantness about themselves.
Yes, they do. They do.
Sometimes we can mistake that for them being rude.
Yes.
And they're not. You know, that could showcase their shyness.
Yeah.
That could showcase, you know, they're getting to know you and filling you out. And you would be surprised at how that nonchalant blank stare would turn into the excitedness of seeing or hearing from you on a regular basis. Again, especially when you enter their world.
Yes, absolutely.
So, this, we could talk about this all day, and I'm sure y'all could listen and engage all day. And we actually, looks like we have some engagement.
Do we? Do
yes,
we have some
do.
questions?
Yeah, can you, let's see. Bear with us, just like you'll be bearing with those teens.
Yeah, just a little patience here.
No questions so far.
Okay.
Angie does say that sometimes teens are intimidated by us, so be relatable.
Yes, yes, they are. Because it looks like we just have it all together. And then we go home to chaos because we have a life too. And so, you know, sometimes even if you're Zooming from home, you know, just kind of saying hey and then, you know, talking to someone else for a brief second, although it may seem as if you're being rude, it shows that you're human and that, you know, I have a life as well, and sometimes they want to see that. And I think that that's part of the good thing during this pandemic and being an advocate for teenagers. It's not formal all the time, especially when you're Zooming. Sometimes it's very informal. Sometimes they want to be a little nosy and kind of see how you live a little bit, you know, just looking in the background, you know, because that's how they find ways to identify with you.
Absolutely. And remember that each teen is different.
Yeah.
So it's not a one size fits all description for how to connect with a teenager. That connection is going to look different depending on, you know, their likes, their dislikes, their personality. And again, those are things that you find out through your engagement with them. So if nothing else today, we would love to challenge you all to just think about how you're connecting with your teen.
Absolutely.
And think about new ways that you can connect with your teen. One suggestion is to start a connection calendar. Connection calendar, and just think about different things that you could do each week, different questions you can ask, you know, ahead of time, and that would continue to build that relationship.
Yeah.
So we thank you all so much for tuning in with us this wonderful Wednesday afternoon.
And we'll be checking in again to see if you have any questions. I know that, you know, this video will float around and people will have questions, and I can't wait to do this again.
I know.
If you have any topics that you want us to bring up, we would love for your input. So we have a list. We have a few, but you know, it's nothing like hearing opinions and things from other people. So.
And remember, share this with your friends, your family on Facebook, as well as other advocates, potential advocates that we would love to have. And we look forward to seeing you all again soon.